The NBA draft is finally here, and while there's been a lot of movement around the NBA over the last couple of days, you can expect a lot more today on draft day, maybe even some before the actual draft kicks off today at 8 p.m. Eastern. On today's episode, we're going to talk about who the Suns are reportedly targeting at number 10, what the Dallas Mavericks plan to do after signing Kyrie Irving to an extension, and the Kings' targets on the free agent market. We're talking about all that and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. I want to start off talking about the Phoenix Suns. Jake Fisher, of course, of the Stein Line, had his weekly blog in which he released a kind of lot of details around the NBA draft, and he said this. In the number 10 range, it remains to be seen which players will be available after Toronto selects at number 9. But the Raptors trade the selection elsewhere. Two names I've told to monitor for the Suns on the draft eve of number 10 is Maryland's Derik and Michigan's Danny Wolfe, reported Jake Fisher. Now, we know that the Phoenix Suns need front court depth. Now, I think a lot of mocks also have the Suns going point guard here because it makes sense. But again, the Phoenix Suns seem to not really care about the guard rotation. You know, after not having a true point guard and that kind of limiting that team last season, even though, Tyus Jones played pretty well for them, they actually limited his role. It seems like they are fine. After the trade for Jalen Green, the Kevin Durant trade, it was mentioned that they plan to go forward with the backcourt of Jalen Green and Devin Booker. Still sounds like crazy batshit hell to me. But even with all that said, if they do plan to go big here, which it could very well make sense, they could have a bevy of options there. Danny Wolfe, Derik R2, absolutely. Kaman Malawak is another one, especially if they need extreme defensive upside. So it's going to be interesting to see how they play it, right? Now, I do think Derik and Danny Wolfe are projected to kind of be more ready to go right away, right? Whilst Kaman is a raw prospect, even though he brings a lot of defensive ability. And reportedly, the Suns still think that they can build this contender while they have Booker there, right, and try to still compete with his timeline there. So they may want to go a more NBA ready prospect, and that could lead them to Danny Wolfe if that's what they go to. Danny Wolfe, a player who I think does everything you need offensively. He's a really solid passer. He can stretch the floor. He has positional versatility, really good pick and roll, decision maker and roller, all those type of things. It opens up a lot of the game there. Derik, we already know Derik is just a monster. You give him the ball, you kind of let him go. Now, does that fit in with Devin Booker? That's going to be a question that they have there, but front court depth definitely needs to be something that the Suns prioritize in this draft. So I'm not going to be too surprising when it comes down to that one. So it's just the Suns and what they're doing here is just, it's going to be very interesting to watch, right? Because while I still think that they need a point guard drastically, there are some that are going to be out on the market as well. And maybe they even look to bring back Tyus Jones. But there are going to be a number of point guards out there that could, fit in when it comes down to now with head coach Jordan Ott there, right? And trying to find the way to utilize best of Devin Booker and Jalen Green. We don't know what the future is going to be with Bradley Beal. We are hearing that they are trying to, look for deals, but he has the no trade clause. And so he could force them to basically have to buy them out, in which he's not incentivized to give up a lot in a buyout. So we could be talking about the Phoenix Suns having to do a $100 million buyout on the $110 million that Bradley Beal has left. And that's if he even, agrees to a buyout or to give anything up in the buyout. So this whole kind of next stage for the Suns, you traded Kevin Durant, cool. But now the next phase that you're at where you have to make a decision to forward something around Devin Booker and your path going forward, that's going to be the interesting part in all this and how this shakes out for the Phoenix Suns. And for Devin Booker, right? That you're trying to do something to give Devin Booker a lane to still be able to compete in a tough Western Conference, and that's not easy to do. That's a tight needle to thread, especially when you have a player with the contract size of Bradley Beal, over $50 million, that has a no trade clause. So we'll see what the Suns end up doing here, but on draft night at number 10, I think that's going to be a nice step in the right direction for them to get in the right talent in here. And so whether it's Derik, whether it's Danny Wolfe, whether it's Kaman Malawak, whoever it is, whether it's a point guard in Igor Dimin or Kasparis Jokičiūnas, whoever it ends up being, it better be a player that actually fits with Devin Booker, as that's what they're trying to figure out here in their path going forward. And let's hope that they can do that. But let me know what you guys think down below. Hearing that Danny Wolfe and Derik reportedly could be two of the top names on the board of the Phoenix Suns. Do you actually think that makes sense for that team? Let me know that down below. With that said, last night, we got an extension from Kyrie Irving as he opted out of his deal and opted back into a 3-year deal with the Dallas Mavericks. That gets him paid. It locks him into a nice deal, a 3-year, $119 million deal when it comes down to that. So, shout out to Kyrie Irving for getting that security. He is going to be recovering from an ACL injury, at least you would think, throughout the first chunk of this season. We'll see how much time he ends up missing. But the Dallas Mavericks are an interesting team to watch as well because they're going to get Cooper Flagg. They have Anthony Davis. They locked in Daniel Gafford to a contract extension. Dereck Lively's still there. And I know people have looked at this and said, what are they going to do with Gafford? Keep in mind, the money that they signed Daniel Gafford to means that he's immediately eligible to be traded, right? Because it's a little bit less than expected. It didn't go over that threshold to where they would have to wait until December to trade him. So they could still move Daniel Gafford this offseason if they decide to do so. And I think they've kind of set themselves up to play it both ways, right? If they keep Daniel Gafford, great. AD does not like playing center. You have Gafford, you have Lively, you have a nice rotation there where AD does not have to play any center minutes, which, could be good for AD in this longevity of health and things like that. But if you do, you open yourself up to a right deal if you need to do so you're not locked into where you can't move either guy. And also Daniel Gafford's extension coincides with when Dereck Lively would be in restricted free agency. So you leave yourself that flexibility if Lively shows himself to be a big money player at that point, and you're not locked into money all over the place. So, that's the thing that the Mavericks are in now. They've locked in Kyrie Irving. So whenever Kyrie Irving gets back healthy this season, you're going to have him, Cooper Flagg. You still got Klay Thompson there. You got the center rotation and the big rotation that you have. And Nico Harrison, we'll see if he does anything stupid, but he may have lucked himself up into a pretty decent rebuild after trading Luka Doncic. But, again, I'm not going to give him any type of credit that it's going to work out amazingly well because Nico is Nico, all right? And we'll end up seeing where that happens. But the Mavs still need to find a stopgap point guard, right? And that's the thing that they have to find here. And reportedly, we know that the point guards they will be targeting on the free agent market. So this one also came out from Brett Siegel as well, and saying this, that the Dallas Mavericks are targeting Dennis Schröder, DAngelo Russell, Chris Paul, and Malcolm Brogdon as their point guards that come in and help keep the team afloat at that position while they're waiting on Kyrie Irving to get more healthy. Now, DAngelo Russell is an interesting one here, right? Because he's the player that you look at and you're like, all right, what are we doing here? DAngelo Russell averaged 12.6 points, 2.8 rebounds, 5 assists in 58 games with the Nets and the Los Angeles Lakers last year. And he's a player that can provide some of that scoring punch, albeit sometimes inconsistently, that he can bring there, and he can facilitate a little bit. How they run their offense next season is going to be really fun to watch, right? And what they do there. He's not the playmaker of a Kyrie Irving, but he does bring some things where he can create off scoring and things like that. Dennis Schröder, an interesting point. He played 75 games last year with the Nets, the Warriors, and the Detroit Pistons, where he averaged 13 points, 2.6 rebounds, and 5.4 assists. He's probably the option that makes the most sense because I can see Dennis Schröder, once Kyrie's back, playing a really good bench point guard role for them and still organizing that offense coming off the bench. I like Dennis Schröder there. I think that does make some sense for the Mavericks. Chris Paul is an interesting one. He played in all 82 games, and while there's no doubt that Chris Paul is not the Chris Paul of old, he still averaged 8.4 points, 3.6 rebounds, 7.4 assists, and didn't turn the ball over a lot. So if you're looking for a point guard that can just come in, they can do a little scoring, but their primary role is creating for others and facilitating to get the ball to Cooper Flagg, to get AD and Daniel Gafford those lobs and things like that. Chris Paul offers a really good option for that, as well as somebody who's probably not going to try to look for any long-term big money. So you have that option there for you as well. I can understand the Chris Paul aspect of this for the Dallas Mavericks as well. And then Malcolm Brogdon, last year with the Washington Wizards, kind of forgotten about, right? Only 24 games with them, but he averaged 12.7 points, 3.8 rebounds, 4.1 assists. And we do know that Malcolm Brogdon is engaged defensively as well. When it comes down to it, all these options make sense at different levels to me. For the Dallas Mavericks, it just comes down to, A, the money, because I don't think they're going to want to break the bank, even though, yes, that players are going to be starting for a nice chunk of the season. I don't think they're going to want to spend exorbitant amount of money on that, right? So I think that's a part that you have to look in this as well. And then you don't want to, and then they may not want something long-term either. So where you have guys like Brogdon and Paul, they may be willing to sign a 1-2 year deal, right? I think Dennis Schröder and DAngelo Russell are going to probably be looking for more long-term security if they can find it. I'm not saying the full 5 years, but they may want more longer-term security there. Are the Dallas Mavericks, do they have the palate for that, is going to be the question when it comes down to that. We shall see there. But let me know what you guys think on that down below. What do you see the Dallas Mavericks going? Which point guard do you think makes the most sense for the team? Let me know that down below. And then lastly, we're going to talk a little bit about the Kings. Reportedly, the Kings are still looking to trade into the first round, using the players that, in Devin Carter and Malik Monk to try to get back into that first round. And we'll see what happens there. Like, I get the goal. That should be a goal to try to get back into the first round where you can. That makes a lot of sense for all parties involved, right? But apparently they are looking to sign Dennis Schröder as well, as he's one of the players on their top of their board, because they do need a point guard in there. I'm surprised that a lot of these teams, the Jones brothers, aren't mentioned for any of these teams, right? Which I'm surprised there. And then also trade candidates, but maybe they're not looking to give up assets while the Kings are looking to trade into the first round. We'll see what happens there. Same things we said about the Mavericks, right, who are also rumored in Dennis Schröder. The 13 points, 2.6 rebounds, 5.4 assists, the health there, the ability, the activity on both sides of the ball. Those are all things that could very well help a team like the Sacramento Kings pretty neatly, especially when you have a team that has DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine on it as your 2 and your 3. So, looking for a point guard that can distribute as well as being a better point of attack defender. Doesn't have to be a lockdown point of attack defender. That could be something that team values quite a bit there. So I think that's the thing you have to look at, and we'll see what happens there overall. But it's draft day. There are going to be a lot of moves. Free agency starts shortly thereafter. Teams can already re-sign their own free agents if they decide to do so, which we've seen in some cases. So this is going to be a very busy weekend, a very busy rest of the week as well, where it's only Wednesday. So stay in tune with us. I've been telling you guys to leave voicemails for the mailbag, right? We haven't really had a lot of interaction there yet, but we do have a video mailbag from my boy Brian talking about the draft here.
Hayes. Brian here. Hey, man. It's been a while. How you doing? Sorry for being incognito. I get tired of the bullshit trades and talk right up to the draft. So I need a little break. But let's talk about the draft, shall we? I'd like to. Let's talk about, if I am these teams, this is what I'm thinking. If I'm the Sixers, I'm cool with VJ. I think VJ is a better fit, straight up, than Ace. Not taking Ace. But I'd rather trade down and get another asset. And I'm totally cool if I can still grab Khan or Trey Johnson. So that's what I'd be looking at there. The Hornets. If I'm the Hornets, I'm cool with whoever Sixers don't take, or whomever takes above. I'm cool with VJ. I'm cool with Khan. I think both help stabilize that Hornets squad, and I'm not trading. I'm cool right here. If I'm the Jazz, I really want to trade up. If I can, maybe. I don't know. Ainge is hard to figure. But he's going to want to star. But I'm totally cool with taking Trey here. He fits. I think he's a crazy shooter. He's going to work with everything. Yeah, but I'm not taking Ace again. If I'm Washington, I'm cool with whoever's there, because we're building the Big Brothers League now somehow, with getting off of Poole and now going older. That's zagging. That's a zag. Let's go older. I think they're trying to do some weird Houston-like thing, but it's in a Washington-y way. I don't know. I don't really like it. We'll see. If I'm Brooklyn, I gotta trade up. I'm desperate to trade up, and I have the assets to do it. I don't know for what. And I haven't heard a lot about this, but if me personally, if I'm Brooklyn, I'm like, Derik Queen is a star. That is a star. He just has star written all over him to me. And so I take him. I'm like, yeah. And then build around that, because he's a weird fit. And if the weird fit possible teams don't take him, he's out. He's sliding. He's gonna slide right out of out of the lottery into God only knows what. But Brooklyn, I need a star, and that's what I would do. I'd either try to trade up or I'd take Queen. And lastly, I'm skipping a few. If I'm the Bulls, of course I'm cool trading 12 for 15 and 24, because then I'm hoping to get Sorber and Rasheer. Oh yeah, you knew I would fit Rasheer into this somehow. Come on, AK, Rasheer. It's like he's played for Lithuania, man. Come on. You know it. But anyway, but otherwise, if I'm the Bulls, if I'm Acme, I'm taking Cedric Coward right here. I just think he's a great fit for the Bulls. I think he'll slide in at 3-4. Well, probably not 4. If he adds 15 pounds, Billy will play him at the 4, though. So we'll see. But great shooter, that dude's a lock. He looks perfect for the Bulls. I think he'd slot in. And with him being a little older, he'd start almost immediately. Or at least in his rookie season. Maybe not immediately. You know what I mean. Anyway, just thought I would throw that shit out there. I might be going really long. I'll try to edit it down for you, But anyway, hope you're doing well. Can't wait for tomorrow. See ya!
And that's draft thoughts from Brian there. I love it. Like, I think that there's so much fluidity around this draft as a whole, right? And I think especially with the Ace Bailey thing going on, you could potentially see a lot of movement as soon as after pick number 4. And if that ends up happening, it's going to be a lot of teams posturing to get the guy that they have number 1 on their board. And I'm not mad at that. So, we'll see. I think this is going to be a fun day. We're going to have, of course, the draft live stream. Then we'll have the breakdown after the draft, kind of immediately, kind of more the surprising moves. But then tomorrow morning is when I get into my winners and losers of the draft, having some time to kind of break that down and think about that. But it's going to be a fun couple of days here. So make sure you guys stay in tune with us for that. But that's my time for today. You guys can follow us at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number 1 spot for everything basketball related, but that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end everything on, I'll see you guys the next time I feel like making a video. It's going to be today. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.